right, so we are back again. Another podcast. We appreciate you being here. Do want to do quick things up here at the top. Again, like we say, housekeeping. Again, a lot of people have been watching the videos. We super appreciate the newfound attention. We love it. Thank you for everybody for being here. Please go to our Facebook page, like the page, follow the page. You'll get all the updates whenever we release videos or find out information or have news or whatever it might be. So definitely check that out. Please, on the YouTube channel, like, subscribe, ring the bell, all the things you're supposed to do. Leave us a comment. If you have something that you want to see or that you liked or didn't like, let us know. We'd love to hear it. And on Spotify, same thing. If there's a place you can rate, review, whatever it is, all that stuff just helps us get up higher in the discoverable different lists and that sort of thing. So we very much appreciate it. Anybody that can do that for us. And we appreciate you again just for listening. That alone is enough. We're asking you to do some extras because we think you're cool. Also, got to mention our buddy Ryan again at Riot Sports. Constantly hooking us up with new ideas. Sounds like he might be sending us some gear in the near future that we'll get to check out and talk to you guys about and give you some maybe reviews or suggestions or whatever. The guy has contacts for stuff, and we're hoping to see some of that stuff at some point and be able to get that information to you guys. So again, thank you guys. Like, subscribe, check out the Facebook page. We appreciate it. So anyway, for today, we're going to go into kind of piggybacking on our last podcast about situational kind of softball and making sure to make smart plays and that sort of thing. We went over a lot of end of game type of things last time, but we wanted to go over some more during the game type of situations or even just during a single at bat type of situations. And I think one of the big things, because now I see this both ways. This is our first topic. I see both ways, and that's about when to turn a hit into a double, when to not turn a hit into a double. I feel like I see people stretching to doubles sometimes where maybe they shouldn't, but I actually think I see more often a lot of players that get a little reticent, even though they probably could have taken two bases, and it's not even on their radar to try. Like, they just come jogging out of the box after they hit the ball, and they don't even think about going to second base, which again, you're on base, so you did most of your job there, so I'm not going to be too mad about it, but I think it's worth discussing. So what would you say, what's the biggest thing that sticks out for you, or what would be the biggest, I guess, piece of advice you would have about the when to or when not to stretch a single to a double, that sort of stuff?
Great question. We kind of chalked up a little bit of a list of the go, don't go situations. So we can kind of just run through some of those.
Yeah.
Some of it is going to be just an intrinsic assessment of your own skills and being honest with yourself about how
do you
fast
have
are
it?
you?
Do you not?
Right? So, if you're somebody who's a middle of the road speed person, you may need to weigh other factors in.
Yeah.
If you're somebody that's on the lesser speed side, you probably want to be more conservative because, if you make a decision and then you need to abandon ship immediately, you can be a little bit more likely to just get hung out to dry.
Right.
So I think the first thing is really just understanding yourself and being honest, because that's going to keep you on base. One thing that I don't think gets done enough as just a team is making sure that people are communicating arm talent in the outfield. If somebody has a great arm and you see it early, I think every single person in that dugout should know immediately. If you see the right fielder throw a frozen rope to second base, I think everybody should know that. I think that should be something that gets passed around immediately so that everyone has that nugget of information in their mind when thinking, hey, I hit one into the right center field gap. It's an in-betweener. Maybe I should think about going.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that guy's got an arm. Probably not.
Yeah.
Is it worth it at that point in time to find out? Versus if somebody has not demonstrated that they have a great arm or that they're inaccurate, those are things that you should also know. because then you want to put a little bit more pressure on them by showing that you will stretch.
Yeah.
And then they're either going to step up and make those plays, or it's going to exacerbate that deficiency, and you're going to find that you can take advantage of that often.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think you made a good point there too about there are certain hits into certain places that should just always be in the top of your mind of, if I hit the ball there, I should probably at least consider the idea of going to second. Like you were saying, if I hit the ball into the right center gap, I should at least explore the idea of maybe taking another base. Now, it doesn't mean that you should always do it, but just the fact that you hit it to the right spot, or I would say the same argument could be made if you hit the ball right down the line, either side, left or right. If you hit it right down the foul line and it's fair ball, no matter what, you should be considering going to second. Now, obviously, there's a lot of factors into that, but I think just knowing that those balls are things that could potentially give you an extra base are just, that's the biggest part, is realizing that it's a possible situation. And one thing that I would add to that is, and again, only because I've started to do this a little bit, if you're playing in a place, especially if it's maybe a little wet outside, if there's a little bit of dew in the morning, and the grass is not cut super short in the outfield, if you hit a ball that's in front of the outfielders and they're just kind of jogging up to get it, look at two. Think about it, because if they don't, now all of a sudden they have to run up and grab that ball faster than they wanted to, especially if it's not going to come all the way back to them. It's going to stop short. Then they got to get the ball and they got to make an accurate throw to second base, which doesn't happen nearly as often as it probably could. And I know I've gotten extra bases that way. I wouldn't say often, but I would say often enough that it's something that I consider all the time. If I hit a ball that's kind of into shallow outfield and there's thick grass, and I see the outfielder just kind of taking his time, I start going. And I will, even on a ball that's hit fairly well to an outfielder, I will often hustle and take a hard turn on first base every time. I just want to see if they're going to try to make a throw. I want to see how good or bad their arm is. I want to see if they even take note that I did that, and that informs my decisions in the future. So if I hit a ball,
a lot of information.
If I hit a ball to the right fielder and I take a hard turn around second, even if I stop and go back, but he didn't really speed up much, and I see that he didn't really throw the ball too hard, next time around, if I hit that ball to him again, I'm going to seriously consider getting that second base.
Yeah. So. Also, things that base coaches should be looking for as well,
yes,
right? Like, hey,
absolutely.
I see this guy is just kind of lollygag into the ball.
Yep.
He's throwing lollipops into the infield, or as you mentioned, tell your fools at Wrigley to cut the grass. We played at Big League Dreams, and Wrigley Field had a solid 3 inches of tall grass in the outfield.
And it wasn't even either. It was, again, I think I described it as a conglomeration of clumps of grass. Like it wasn't even like a lawn. It was just like, here are some spots that grass grew, and it just happened to get close enough to the other grass that it looks like a lawn.
Yeah, but I mean, you put the outfielders in a higher place of alert and stress when the ball is dying, because either they have to come in faster to keep you from going to an extra base, which means they could fumble trying to pick the ball up. They're running faster, which means it's going to be a harder place to pick up the ball and get them in position to make a good throw.
Yep.
It puts extra stress on them. And so take advantage of that is what you're getting at. And I totally agree.
Absolutely. Yeah. And again, you don't want to, I guess this is probably leading into some of the don'ts, but you don't want to just be going to second base out of the batter's box every time. And, just because, like, I think sometimes that happens. Now, I can go up in the batter's box and say, hey, I'm going to really try to hit this gap. And in my head, I'm thinking, if I do hit that gap, I am definitely taking second base. Like, that's an okay strategy. But I think sometimes you see guys go in there and they're just like, I'm taking second base, doesn't matter what. And I mean, I know I've done that before. Usually it's at like meetup or places where, okay, you're you're down by a bunch or whatever, and you're just trying to make something happen, or you're just trying to have fun, sometimes I'll just do that. I'm taking second no matter what, as long as I hit it hard enough. And I think that's okay. But once you get into some, tournament situations, that sort of stuff, again, if it's a lower level tournament, sometimes the stakes aren't that high, but you still want to win, and you definitely don't want to get thrown out at trying to get an extra base. So one thing to consider.
Of that too, I think what you said to begin with is the most important thing is come out of the box hard every time, and then assess. Don't just come out of the box with your mind made up. Come out of the box hard, which puts stress on the outfield in general.
See how they react.
Pick up your base coach.
Yeah.
And then make a decision. Don't have a predetermined decision. Once the ball makes it to the outfield, you're doing something. You need to make sure that you're looking, or that you're picking up your base coach who's also looking, and weight all of these different factors before you make that go, no-go decision.
Yeah, no, I totally agree.
Unless you hit the ball off the wall and you see the outfielder's backs, then you should be going immediately. Yeah, and you see their backs, you see their numbers, it's over their head, you got to go.
Yeah, and that's the situation I'm talking about when you're like, if I hit a ball a certain way, then I know that that's a situation I should be considering it. And then there's situations like that, whereas again, you're seeing the outfielder's backs, you're just going. You either got them or they're going to have to make a great play. And if they made a great play, awesome, great on them. But if there's an outfielder moving backwards, maybe they don't catch the ball, but if they field the ball, the chances of them making a good throw into second while moving away from second base is super low. So, I mean, just kind of knowing the situations and then being able to assess them in real time. And I think it takes practice. It's not just something that everybody just knows inherently. So, if you're first starting to try to implement this in your game, maybe be a little bit more conservative. But once you kind of get a good sense of, hey, how quickly can I get around first and get to second? And, what have I been able to do before? Can I do that again? And again, that stuff just comes with practice, but I think that's definitely something that can add to your game, because a double instead of a single, when it's like let's say it's a really high percentage chance you could get a double out of that, but you never take it, and now all of a sudden you start taking it, your quality of play is increasing significantly. Your slugging percentage is going way up. Your OPS is going way up. Your on base was already there, and you've got that, but now at second base, you're considered scoring position. So, like, you are not only helping your team, but you're helping your own personal stats if that's what you care about. So, I mean, everybody likes their own stats. I like my own stats. So
I think the only situation that I'll add to that is, depending on the game situation.
That's true too.
There are times where you should try or not try to stretch.
Yes.
Late in the game, maybe you're up against that clock that we've talked about, and you need one run. Maybe you're putting a little bit of extra pressure and you're trying to stretch a single to a double.
Yeah.
Factoring in, outfield arm talent, right?
Yeah.
Maybe the late game, high leverage situation, you make a decision to put a little bit more pressure that you wouldn't do earlier in the game. And I think those are valid reasons.
Yeah.
2 outs, we're chasing a run. I need to get into scoring position. Maybe you give it a go, right?
Or the guy behind you is a very slow runner.
Also true.
Now all of a sudden, if you stop at first, there's a much more likely chance, not saying it's going to happen, but if there's a ground ball in the infield, the chances of them increasing it or getting a double play increases significantly. Mm-hmm. Now that doesn't mean you should just go
every time.
Like I'm just going to second no matter what, but you might take a little bit of an extra chance if the guy behind you isn't a super fast runner, because now you've taken that double play chance away.
Yeah, but inversely, if you're chasing a lot of runs, that extra base doesn't mean a lot.
Nope, doesn't mean anything.
No reason to try to stretch something when you need multiple runs. It's not going to make that much of a difference.
Yeah, it doesn't mean anything at all.
The most valuable thing when you're chasing a lot of runs is outs.
Yes.
The more outs you have, the more bullets you have in the chamber. Yep. If you make a silly out on the base pass trying to stretch something, that's a waste.
Yeah, huge waste, because again, you're probably also against the clock, like we talked about before at that point too. So
other things are, if somebody has proven that they have a strong arm, don't test them.
No.
Not worth it.
No. Yeah, like I know at meetup, if I hit a ball to Jason, I'm not testing him. If I hit a ball to another one of our buddies, there's like 1,000 Jasons at meetup. Jason Tong, JT, guy's got an absolute cannon for an arm. I'm not running. I might take those first 2 hard steps just to make him throw.
Mm-hmm.
Just
maybe
so
you
I
can make him make a mental error.
Yeah, or I just get to watch that beautiful throw. So, so I
would say you would go back to first base and tip your cap, but you typically don't play with a hat on.
That's true. I usually don't. I don't.
Do you flick? Is it a flick of the hair at
Maybe
that point?
It's just maybe that's what it is. I just rub the top of my head. I don't know.
The only other scenario where I would say you throw up the red light is if you're up a lot and it's a little bit of a blowout.
Yeah.
Don't take the extra base. That's just adding salt to a wound. Yeah. Unnecessary.
Especially in a league. If it's a tournament and you're playing it, you're up by 15 on a team that you know can score, you still got to play. But if it's league night and you've been beaten up on a team for 4 innings, you're up by 15, take 1 base. Unless it's an obvious 2, because that's another thing that bothers me sometimes is when, if I'm on that losing side, I'm on that losing team, I don't want you to give me something that I didn't, that I didn't deserve. I don't want you to stay at first, even though you had an easy double, just because you're up by 15. You know what I mean? If you hit a double, take second base. Don't stretch it to a triple, but exactly. Yeah.
That situation is take your double, you hit a double. Yeah. Don't be a jerk and stretch that into a triple.
Absolutely.
Or try to write it inside the park home run.
Absolutely.
Take your double, move on to the next guy.
Right. And again, that's more of just a player's courtesy sort of thing, not so much a game situation as far as a critical game situation sort of thing. But yeah, I agree with that too. If you hit the ball into a gap and you have easy double, take your double. If you hit the ball in front of the outfielders and they're coming in to get it and you might be able to stretch it to a double, if you're up by 15, just stay on first. Don't worry about it. Just stay on first. The chances of you losing that game at that point because you've been beating up on them is super low. So don't worry too much about that and just have some sportsmanship, I guess.
So staying on the topic of situational base running, we've talked a lot about when to look at stretching a single to a double, when not to. Do you buy into the moniker that's never make the third out at third, never make the second out at home?
Yeah. So whenever it comes to any of these rules, so one, the background is I think the unspoken rules in baseball are stupid. I'm sorry if you love them or anybody out there loves them, but they like.
So you don't like the rule that if somebody comes up and drills your best player, you're going to drill their best player when he comes up to the plate?
I don't. If the guy did it on purpose, you charge the mound. Just do it. That's fine. I don't care. It's probably not going to be me. I don't care. But take care of it there. Or if a guy watched his home run.
That's a hockey mentality you've got going there.
Well, I'm not interested in getting in a fight. I'm just saying if there's got to be a fight and you're going to just throw balls at each other, just go get it over with, But anyway, if a guy watches his home run a half a second too long and then now you have to peg him the next time, no. I'm not interested in any of that. So it kind of is, again, these are kind of those unwritten rules a little bit of don't get the third out at third, don't get the second out at home. I would say most of the time that's a pretty good rule of thumb. However, I can certainly see that there are situations where that's not necessarily the right play, is to not try for third or not try for home.
Okay.
Yeah. So again,
give me a specific example.
That's what I was trying to think of a little bit. So
because I could almost argue that they're more impactful and meaningful in softball.
Okay. I guess things that come to mind are a guy hits a ball to right center gap. You're on first. If you have medium or better speed, I expect you to go first to third. Right?
Sure, absolutely.
But maybe that right fielder has a cannon and he made a great throw I mean, and if you're the base runner, you can't even see it happening because your back is to that throw. Maybe the right fielder picks the ball, makes a great throw, you get tagged out at third. I'm not mad about that.
Sure.
That's expectation in my opinion. Same thing. You're on second base. A guy hits a hard ball to the gap. You should score. You should be second to home. And if a guy makes a great throw, so be it. But
yeah, I think you are looking at it from like, can I poke a hole in that statement? And I think everything you've said is completely accurate. But I think it's more when the risk is there, do I do it? And I think you're defining situations that are significantly low risk.
Yeah.
And that you put one in a gap on the right field side and somebody has to throw all the way to third base.
Yeah.
100% agree. There's low risk in making that play. And if they do, you tip your cap. What I think it's really meant to look at and assess is you're trying to go from first to third on a single to left field.
Right. Yeah.
There is no value in you getting to third with 2 outs.
Absolutely.
Stay at second. You're
do that.
still in scoring position.
Yeah. No, I agree with that too.
Or I'm on second with 1 out and somebody hits a single to the outfield. Unless you're dang sure you're going to make it, don't go.
Yeah.
You can still hit a sac fly. Your next guy can still hit a single. It's slow pitch softball.
Yeah.
If everybody on your team is hopefully around 600 or better on base percentage, there's more than a 50% chance you're going to score.
Yeah. And they can hit a fly ball, no problem. Like anybody on the team should be able to hit a sacrifice fly if that's going to be the game winner or something like that. So
the reason why I emphasize it in softball more is if you think about the probability of you getting a hit in softball versus baseball, it's
higher.
At least 2, if not 3 times more likely that you'll get a hit.
Absolutely.
That's why it's 2 to 3 times more important not to make a base running error.
That's fair.
So that would be my argument.
No, I agree with everything you just said. I guess I just disagree with the hard and fast rule part, if that makes sense. Maybe I like to live in gray areas, but I feel like you could throw any.
It's kind of blue right now, actually.
Yeah, well, a little pink. It's rotating now. I hope everybody likes my new lights that I've had the whole time. I've just never put them back there.
You just got the stoplight. Your light's just like, don't go.
That's right. Don't do it. But it turned green, so it's fine now. But that's the big thing is anytime that someone tells me that there's a hard and fast rule that's not an actual rule of softball, I'm always like, maybe. Like, if you make a stupid play, you made a stupid play, and it happened to be the third out at third, and that was a stupid play. But it was stupid no matter where you were. If you did something stupid and got out at first, and it was the third out, it's still stupid. So I think, again,
they're hard and fast guidelines. They're not rules. They're guidelines.
I don't think a guideline can be hard and fast. I will argue that. I think those are adjectives.
I was a little bit fluffing that. Yes.
Yeah, I think the argument is that you can't be hard and fast and a guideline.
I think the idea is outs are more valuable in softball than they are in baseball.
Agreed. You get less of them.
The likelihood of somebody getting on base is higher in softball than in baseball.
100% agree.
So the value of you making or not making a base running error is higher.
Yeah. This is Moneyball stuff right here. And
therefore, don't make silly base running mistakes.
Don't make silly base running mistakes. Absolutely not. Now, I will point out, because it will get pointed out to us, if not in the comments.
Yeah.
There was a game.
I know where this is going.
I know you do. There's this game. It was the last or second to last. No, it had to have been the second to last. I don't remember. It was one of the last games of the season for our 2-out rally, our high-level City League team here. And I don't even remember the different situations. I think Jason and I both, in the same game, got thrown out making stupid mistakes at home. I think both of us in the same
time
game.
In that pickle.
Yeah. I was like, I'm not getting in a pickle, and I literally made like a half-hearted attempt to kind of jump over the side of the defender, but he just stood up and he was kind of crouched down. I was like, maybe I can do this, and then he just kind of stood up and tagged me, and it was no good. But
Literally
yes,
tried to dunk on this guy like the full MJ, spread legs.
I
and the
did.
guy
I tried. I tried to posterize him. That's what it was. Yeah, but of course, every single one of our teammates on the team, of course, they know we do the podcast, and they're all like, "Okay, new podcast idea, guys." Stupid base running mistakes. We're like, yeah, we earned that.
You know who you are. I was surprised that didn't make it to the Facebook page that night. Odd suggestion. Base running mental errors.
Yes.
How not to make them.
Ugh, it was bad, and it was embarrassing for both of us. And I thought more so for me because I'm the captain, and so I'm like trying to like set all the good examples of the things to do, and then I just made a horribly stupid, like the ball was there before I was 20 feet to the plate, like beat me by a mile. Like it was so dumb, and we all do it. But again, the idea is you gotta try to keep those ideas in your head of what's the right and wrong thing to do and when to do them. And neither of those were the right time. We did them in the same game.
Valuable reflections that I gained from that was the importance of base coaches.
Yeah.
And how having base coaches is important. We were playing on a team. I can't remember if it was at that tournament we played at a couple weekends ago, but somebody was trying to convince me that we didn't need a third base coach.
Yeah.
Just listen from the first base coach's box and try to hear what I'm telling you. And, I don't know if it's just the way that I was trained in baseball, but if I'm rounding second and trying to figure out what to do, I'm immediately going to look to the third base coach's box and try to pick them up.
Right.
And trying to then like fully turn your shoulder to go find out what somebody's yelling, or relying on somebody's yelling voice, which means you have to hear them. You then have to process it and then assess, isn't the same as just seeing somebody in front of you and looking at what they're telling you to do. Go ahead. Which is also part of it is, don't just yell at somebody.
Yeah.
Throw your hands up or do something. Yeah. Don't just say something. You need to be loud and you need to be visual. Do the Midwest thing. Use your hands. Gesticulate.
Gesticulate. I do it a lot.
I realized how much it was valuable to me to have somebody visually make a move as opposed to hear somebody, make sure I heard them correctly, then process what it means. If you throw your hands up, I know it means stop. If you wave your hand, it means go, and it's second nature.
And I will say, I think it's just because I didn't do it a lot as a kid as far as like being the third base coach or whatever, but I'm a lot more subtle on my things. I don't want the fielders to hear what I'm telling them. So again, I often try to be subtle. And I think, again, I just don't want the fielders to hear me. So I almost, when I'm coaching third, I'll try to make eye contact with the runner coming at me. And if I want them to stop, I usually don't say anything, and I'm just doing this, or I'm pointing like at the base. And then the same thing is if I'm looking at the outfield and I see the guys like not picking it up, like I'm doing this and I'm like, go. And like, I'm saying it enough where he can hear me, but the whole infield isn't hearing me. And so I will, or sometimes I'll just point and I'm like, go. And it's.
Do you think that actually saves your runner from getting thrown
I have
out?
no idea, but it also has not prevented a run from scoring. So I'm going to stick with it until it proves me otherwise. But I don't know. I don't know for sure, but I'm usually more apt to do that when maybe I'm sending a runner that isn't a for sure. Not a for sure, but like if the only expectation was that runner should get from second to third, but then I see like a little bobble of the ball, or I see that they throw it to a cutoff that's in the different direction, then that's when I'm sending them, and it would be a little unexpected, even though I usually am not sending them unless it's a fairly high percentage chance they're going to make it.
But that's in my guidelines. I'll send them.
Are those hard and fast guidelines? Anyway, yes. So I try to do that, but again, I'm always trying to hand gesture, as well as that. And I also, again, I try to make some amount of eye contact with the runner, or at least see that they're looking at me before I'm trying to give more complicated instruction. You know, if they're like got their head turned, they're trying to watch the ball instead. Like, I'm not going to send them, because I don't want them to turn around, look at me once they've already started to put on the brakes, and then have to try to speed up again. That's just the only reason that's working is because they don't slow down, you know? So that's part of it. And again, if you're a base runner, if your base coaches are good, you should be looking for them, like find them, you know? So
one other thing I just think about, Dan, shout out Dan, if you're listening.
Shout out Dan.
I hope you're listening. Dan's going to be that guy that might throw the subtle, go, go, go.
Yeah.
If you're picking up your base coach and looking at them visually, can't get away with that kind of stuff.
Right.
So, you know, if you find some people that live in the gray area of gamesmanship,
Yep.
and they are going to try to trick you into doing something as if they were your ally, when they're not.
Yeah.
you can prevent those things if you visually look at your base coach.
Right. Yeah. So you, again, as the base runner, it should be fairly simple to know who you're looking at. Now, again, we get this issue sometimes when we do meetup, because again, teams are always mixed. So you could literally be on the same team as somebody, and then a half an hour later, you're not on their team anymore. So like sometimes that stuff gets confused. You get away with that stuff. But for the most part, you know who your third base coach is. So it doesn't matter what anybody else says. That's the person you're paying attention to. So
talk up another reason why you should just get team uniforms.
Just get unis. Look at them. I mean, and we're even sporting opposites today. He's got the black jersey. I got the teal jersey. We're
ready for those 2-day tournaments now.
Ready for the 2-day tournament coming up in like a couple weeks here. So might be this. Actually, it might come out the week that we're at the tournament. So yeah, could be. We got to record these before. We don't have time otherwise. So
right.
But yeah, and I think to that point, you got to pay attention to your base runners. You got to pay attention to your base coaches. Only other thing I would add to that is if for some reason, which we ran into this a little bit, and again, I don't know why, but at that tournament a couple weekends ago, for some reason, there was no third base coach. At one point, I don't remember what the deal was. And
laziness.
I want to say
it was 40 degrees.
It was really cold for California for sure, and for softball for sure. I want to say you were base running.
I was.
And you were on second, and I was on deck, if I remember correctly. And whoever was in front of me hit the ball, and we didn't have a third base coach. So as soon as I saw that ball hit, I ran to basically where I was a straight line from home base to third, and I was like, Jason, look at me. And then I was able to say, come home or stay or whatever. So I was able to kind of pick that up on the fly, even though there probably should have been someone there already, but thankfully we were able to do
especially too,
it.
if you're rounding third and you're the visitors, and you're on the first baseline, like that's, by the time I get to third, you may just be trying to get in position and it may be too late.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
yeah, absolutely.
Have two base coaches at the start of the inning. Yeah,
it costs you nothing. It literally costs you nothing.
It's like free intelligence.
It's free intelligence. That's exactly what it is. It's
like, what if you had more information to make a good decision?
I mean, at no cost to you. That seems like a win-win. You should do it every time sort of thing. But
people pay financial advisors for good investment opportunities. It's like having a free financial advisor.
It's a free base running advisor. They can see everything happening that you can't see. Look at that.
Oh my gosh.
It sounds like it's a commercial for a financial advisor. I don't know if I'm going to put a commercial for a financial advisor out there, but that's okay. That's all right.
We digest.
We digest or digress, either one.
Shout out Lorenzo Neal, Hall of Fame fullback. Not actually in the Hall of Fame, but he deserves to be.
Anything else as far as situational base running? Any final thoughts on taking extra bases off the hits or anything like that? Or do you think we covered it?
No, I think if I was to summarize, come out of the box hard all the time.
Yep.
Know your fielder's talents or deficiencies.
Yep.
Don't make up your mind pick up your base coaches. You'll be better.
I agree.
Don't make outs on the base paths like us.
Like us. Ugh, it was so bad. Yeah, I think I agree with all that. And again, if you are the type of person that is, because it seems like all that advice is for maybe the over-aggressive. If you are the under-aggressive type, maybe start to learn your situations when you can take that extra base and just help your team out. So it can be learned from all sides. So if you have something to learn, which you do, because everybody does, me included.
Learn something new.
Learn something new and add it to your game, and maybe you'll be better for it and you'll win a few more games. You'll come home with a trophy from a tournament, and you can say the guys at League Night Softball Podcast were the ones that sent you.
We're going to have a virtual trophy case for all of the trophies that you tell us we've helped you earn.
Yes.
I hope to fill that thing up.
We will put your name on the trophy.
What we'll do is we'll print a picture of the trophy, and Cam will put it up on his shelving behind. That thing is going to be packed.
Yeah, I'm gonna fill it up with paper trophies that I've printed out that say first place, good job. Thank you for watching, everyone. We really appreciate it. Depending on what platform you're watching us on, like, subscribe, leave us a comment. Anything you can do to let us know that you like what we're doing here. We really appreciate it. We'll see you next time.